Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video, quickly as always, is the insider threat. And this is something that the main threats to businesses, to me, and I think a lot of, if you look at a lot of statistics on crime, etc., a lot of the issues with businesses, a lot of the crimes that are committed, be it theft, fraud, etc., the people committing those crimes, the criminals, have some connection within the business. There's an internal issue to start with. I'm going to tell you a few stories in this video, and I'll highlight a few things as we go along. In my business, close protection business, investigations business, etc., I'm always wary, and again, you should be always wary in the security business in general, of people that's working for you, be it providing close protection services, etc., be it man guarding, guards, trying to steal clients. And this happens a lot in the close protection business, where you assign somebody's working with the client, and the person's working with the client will get over friendly with the client and then try and steal the client from you. This is where you need to have a good management and also ensure boundaries are always enforced. And boundaries are something which I'm big on. And in the close protection business, you have to make sure there are boundaries, or if boundaries are overstepped, they need to be enforced, because it can lead to big problems. And I'm sure I got a video up somewhere about boundaries. So this is where, from the close protection perspective, a lot of the threats are going to come from internal issues. And one of the main issues is going to be the guards, the personnel that's working for you, causing problems. For corporate security, it's the same. A lot of theft is internal. Retail security, a lot of theft is internal. Even down to something we was dealing with recently is supply chain, where a business's supply chain staff had been swapping out real goods, brand goods, with fake goods. So this is where, if your supply chain is not secured, you can have issues from that. And again, all this is internal. This is not external issues. These are people that should be trusted, that are playing games, shall we say. So the internal threats need to be, if you're coming in as to do a security assessment, a risk assessment on a company, on a person, on an estate, on a business, you have to strongly take into consideration the internal threats. And this is where a lot of clients don't like that, because as far as they're concerned, they trust the people they have working for them, somebody's worked for them for a long time, etc., etc. And I always tell people, it's like, one of my favorite sayings is, betrayal never comes from an enemy, it always comes from a friend. On a personal level, how many marriages, people at the base level, how many people are madly in love one day and they want to kill each other and get divorced the next day? It happens. So relationships change, people change. And this is where, if you're providing a security overwatch for a client, you need to take that into consideration. And clients need to be made aware of it. Even though somebody might have worked for them for a long time, they like that person, etc., that person could still be causing them problems. Issues, stories. I was dealing with one person in the United States, vice president for a bank. They had an issue. And this is where, and again, this also comes into the corporate security cover-up culture. They had an issue with one of their employees from Latin America. This employee was working at the bank for how many years, got to a decent position within the bank, and all of a sudden he disappeared. He left the bank. He decided to go back to his own country and took $400,000 with him. What did the bank do? Nothing. Once they discovered the theft, the bank didn't do anything. And I was talking to this person about reaching out and finding the person, trying to do stuff and get them brought back to the US, but it's a white-collar crime, so it's not high profile. And the bank was like, in the end, they weren't particularly interested. Well, they were interested, they weren't happy, but $400,000 for a bank is not that big amount of money. And they were more worried about their reputation, understandably so. And this is something you've always got to take into consideration when you're doing this type of work, or any type of enforcement work. How will it affect the reputation of the establishment you're representing or going or working for, etc. And they were more worried about their reputation than actually getting the money back, because they worked out, if they thought, and I think they thought rightly so, that it would be embarrassing for them to say one of their personnel had skipped the country with $400,000. How could he do it? They didn't have security protocols, etc., etc., etc. One case. Another case, London, many years ago. One company, a large law firm that had a block in London. Their administrator, they done an audit on their administrator because there were issues. Somebody picked up on issues. And the administrator was the gentleman who was buying everything for this law firm, etc. Sorting out all the logistics. And this company, this law firm, must have had their own printing department, going through reams and reams of pallets of reams of paper a day. They needed toilet paper, pens, this, that, construction work, building work, repair work. It was the person in charge of the logistics, the administration for that building, had a very large job to do and was kept busy because they're buying a lot of materials. It was found out that this gentleman who was running the administration was adding on to everything he was buying a few pence. A few pence for a ream of paper, a few pence for the toilet paper, a few pence for the pens, a few pence for the tables, a few pence for this. He was adding on a small profit for himself on for everything he was buying for that company. And an investigation was done on him, an audit was done on him, and they stopped counting when they worked out, when they got to about £1.5 million, that he'd added on and siphoned off £1.5 million on all the goods he was buying for that law firm, all the services he was buying for that law firm. Again, he was a trusted person. He was a very, from what I bumped into him once, he was very well to do with all the top attorneys, etc., the partners of the company. He was a very popular person. And again, out of all the people in that company, he wouldn't have been somebody that, if you're looking at it from the surface, you would have suspected of being siphoning money off from that company and stealing from that company. Again, the same with the gentleman at the bank. The law firm called him in, told him they knew what he'd been up to, and they told him, keep the money, pack your bags, don't come back, we don't want to hear from you again. If we hear from you again, you're going to have problems. Why? That law firm didn't want issues and all their clients knowing that they had somebody internally stealing from them. Because if you've got somebody stealing from them, what else is he stealing? Information, etc., etc., information on cases, etc., etc. So that gentleman was fired, didn't get a pension, didn't get whatever, but he walked away with over £1.5 million that he'd siphoned off. I tell people, especially from the close protection perspective, security perspective, most people, if you're looking at security for a client, most people are going to be more suspicious of the gardeners or the janitors. We'll keep a tighter eye on them because they might steal something, etc. They might be illegals. We'll be more suspicious of the janitors and the gardeners and the cleaners than they are of, say, the person assistant, the client's person assistant, the client's accountants, the people that are close to them. But it's the accountants and the person assistants that have access to the big money that can be stolen. They have access to the client's routines, their contacts, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, trust funds, jewelry, etc. Generally, the janitors and the gardeners, they might be able to steal a lawnmower or something small, maybe a watch, maybe some jewelry, but it's the people that's close to the clients that can do the most damage. To finish up on this video, this is a little bit of a long one. You think about it from this, and I say to people, some of the main people that can cause, you always got to be watching for people within your business that can be causing problems, or people coming in. I know of, years ago, two security, again, it was to do with the pharmaceutical business. An investigation agency was tasked to go to find secrets from a pharmaceutical company within London. And many years ago, I don't know what it's like these days, if you walk through London at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, you could be in Lagos, because all the cleaners were West African, Nigerian, etc. So what this investigation agency did was go around to the universities, find some West African kids, that were doing computer courses, etc., etc. And they tasked these kids with going and getting jobs for the cleaning company that was working in the offices for the pharmaceutical company they wanted to target. And of course, these cleaning companies are high turnover people, so these kids went and got jobs working for the cleaning company. So in addition to working for the cleaning company, they were also working for the private investigation agency. So when these kids were cleaning the offices, and you got to remember, a lot of cleaners will have full access to the whole buildings, the whole office buildings. They can go wherever they want because they have to clean the whole building. And generally, they're not vetted out, they're not checked out, etc. So when these kids were cleaning these offices and they had access to the whole of the offices, they were also downloading information from computers, whatever was thrown in the trash, photographing documents, etc. These cleaners, who most people look down on as being most probably just stupid West African cleaners that hardly speak English, was milking that company for all the information they could get. I tell people the same for if you want to infiltrate a business, infiltrate a company, get somebody to work for the security department, etc. So the security company that's working for that company, providing security on those offices, those facilities, because the security personnel, and most of them, they're not well trained. We're talking security guards, not that well trained, not that well vetted out, have full access to the whole of the building and also confidential information, security systems, etc. And you think about it from a professional criminal perspective. If you're looking to do a large heist, then if it takes you a couple of months to get somebody's security license and get somebody to work within, or try to get them to infiltrate working for that the security department of that corporation you're looking to target, what's a few months if you're going to make millions of dollars, right? So this is where, when you're looking for the insider threat, again, always, if you know how to attack, you know how to defend. And again, it's like you have to, when doing assessments for clients, especially when you're taking over a client, you need to ensure that you pay special attention to the insider threats. To me, a lot of times the insider threats, especially in corporate security, is a lot more prominent than the external threats. Anyway, just a little video there. Hopefully you learned a little bit, and it'll give you a few ideas if you're working, providing services. In the meantime, follow me along on social media. I have an array of these videos up. We've got a lot more of these videos up on our social media platform. We're up on the main platforms. Follow me along. I prefer LinkedIn these days, but we're up on the main platforms again. YouTube, up on Facebook personally, Instagram, etc., etc., etc. So follow me along. You got any questions, you require any services, you require any training, feel free to reach out to me and we can have a conversation. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, and as always, try to stay out of trouble.